guys. We're on Highway 19 southbound, and we're going to Highway 28. Highway 28, which is the Moonshine Highway. There's the little Tennessee River right here. That boat out there, and that nice, what a wide river. Tennessee River. So we want to go to Moonshine Road. So you got Tail Dragon, you got Moonshine Road, you got the Diamondback, you got Cherry Hollow Highway, Skyline Parkway, whatever you want to call that. All these are great roads for riding your motorcycle with the twisty curvies, you know. Because we on motorcycles like twisty curvies. That's what a motorcycle's made for. In today's time, I'm pretty sure, twisty curvies, up and down, in the mountains. I talked to a couple of guys yesterday from Kansas. I said, y'all really are flatlanders, aren't you? Because I'm from close to Augusta, Georgia, and that's pretty much flatland there, you know. So that's why it's always fun to come up to the mountains. So here's 28. So again, 28, Montana's 25, Robbinsville 21. So 28 here is called the Moonshine Road, and it goes right into Tail of the Dragon at Deals Gap, which to most people is kind of the beginning of it, okay? Okay guys, we were talking about Moonshine Road, Highway 28, from going down Highway 19 south from Bryson City. You make a right on Highway 28, which takes you to the Tail of the Dragon. It's also called the Moonshine Road. Now Highway 28 also, if you're coming from Bryson City south on Highway 19, you can make a left on Highway 28, and it will take you to Highway 441, which is where Tallulah Gorge is in Georgia. And it will continue on eastward until you reach South Carolina. So it can be a very long road. But we're looking at the twisty curvies of Moonshine Road here between Tail of the Dragon and to Highway 19 south. But also, if you go across Highway 19 toward Tallulah Gorge on the other side of Highway 19, you got some nice twisty curvies there for a while too. So, but just wanted to show you some of the twisty curvies of this Moonshine Road. And again, if you're going north on Highway 28, you end up at Deals Gap, Tail of the Dragon. That's Cherokee, Bryson City, and Robbinsville. Now from where we were at right there, we could go to Tail of the Dragon, which they got a lot of twisty curvies there too on the way. This is part of it right here. And one of the things we're talking about is when you're riding twisty curvies, the people who are not used to it, swing out to your right and left depending on what you're doing. I swing out to the right so I can see farther around the curve right here. Okay? You never know what a curve is going to be like. That curve can be sharp, it can be a medium curve, a moderate curve, a severe curve. You just don't know, so you got to be prepared for it. Swing out to my left and now to my right so I can see farther around the bend. See if anything's out there, anything's coming. Could be a rock slide, could be a lot of things, roadkill, who knows. Swing out to my left. Now, aim toward the white line. Don't try to ride the white line, but aim toward that. Now, when you're swinging out to the right again, because your curve goes to the left, that way you can see again. Swing toward your yellow line a little bit. Don't get too close to the yellow line. You see how my bike is tilted? If my wheel was real close to the yellow line, my head would be across the yellow line, and somebody like a UPS or one of those long flat-sided trucks would catch you, you know. So keep that in mind. And when you live in the flatlands where you don't have a lot of curves like these, you have to approach them a little differently. I'm swinging out, and now I'm cutting in toward the white line. I'm staying on the white line because the curve is going to the left. Now I'm coming back to the yellow line. I'm straight. And I'm going to cut back in. All I'm going to do is focus on this white line. I'm going to forget there are any cars in the other lane. Well, try to forget. I'm not going to pay attention to them unless they're in my lane. When you're riding in the mountains on Tail of the Dragon or the twisty curvies like this, you have to, see, this right here is a fairly sharp curve. It keeps turning, see. On Tail of the Dragon, you have some curves like that. That's more than a 180 right there. But it's not quite as sharp as some on Tail of the Dragon. So, again, we come close to the yellow line, making sure that your bike, this is sitting straight up. You can see my windshield. You don't want that crossing the yellow line. Cut back in. Now, one of the things about riding a bike, I'm pushing, this is a sharp curve, I'm pushing with my left hand outward. Push with my left hand outward on the handle grip. You may say, well, that would carry you the opposite direction. No, it won't. Something about centrifugal force, how that gyroscopic stuff works, it doesn't. Like I want to go to the right, I'm going to push my right handlebar away from me very slowly, very easily. And I'm going to push it to make sure my tire stays where I want it to stay. Okay? Because if I go into a really sharp curve, you don't know what these curves are going to be like. See, this is a sharp curve. I cannot cross the yellow line. I'm pushing with my right hand. I'm still pushing. And, well, I'm keeping it kind of a firm, not really that firm, but push on it. I'm pushing my left hand away from me on the handle grip. This is the way that you truly can control a motorcycle. If you're just leaning your body into the motorcycle to make it turn curves, you got very little control if something comes out in front of you. So learn to push the handle grip away from you, depending. If I want to go to the left, I push the handle grip, my left one to the left very slowly, very easily. Watch how the bike performs. I'm paying attention to that. This is a sharp curve, looks like. I'm pushing, and the bike just leans into that, and I'm swinging out, and I'm pushing with my right, pushing out, always pushing out, you know, when you're making these kind of curves. Now you could pull it to you, but I think it'd be kind of confusing if you talk about that. But you can have almost precision control over your motorcycle doing this. Now, then we're talking about touring bikes and cruisers. They're a different breed than crotch rockets. Guys on crotch rockets, they need to lean their body into it. We don't have to do that most of the time. And I'll show you, like, I'm gonna sit straight up vertical, and I'm gonna turn these curves, and I'm sitting up vertical. And I'm not leaning into this curve, but I got this bike, I'm pushing out with my left hand pushing. And now I'm going to push out my right hand, and I'm sitting up vertical. So you see how the bike is doing. I don't have to lean into that curve to do that. Okay? I don't have to lean into this curve. Because we're not going twice the speed limit. Well, sometimes we are. But I'm going to drop down one gear, because I can tell the way this transmission sounds. We're going uphill. It's a beautiful countryside here. And let's say if I'm doing 50 miles an hour right here, it says 35. Usually you can go faster than that. I'm pushing my right hand, not much, just a little bit. And this is a little bit sharper than I thought it was going to be. But I'm focusing on the white line, Forget about the car, the motorcycle that's coming by, as long as they're not in your lane. And when you go into a really sharp curve, push with your right hand in this case. And no matter what happens, and you say, I'm going too fast, I'm going to slide out. Don't worry about that at that time. If you cross that yellow line, there's a car coming or another motorcycle, you're going to hit head on, and that's going to be 10 times worse than sliding out. If you got a motorcycle doing 45 miles, let's say 50 miles an hour, and a car comes around doing 50 miles an hour and y'all hit head on, that's almost like a 100 mile per hour impact. For every 10 miles per hour, some suggest that that's like falling one story. So if you're doing 50 and the other vehicle doing 50 and you hit, it's like falling off a 10-story building. You're not going to survive that very well, if at all. So, never hit anything head on if you can help it. All the body armor in the world won't help you if you have blunt force trauma, hit something head on. Body armor won't help with that. It'll help road rash, but it won't help if you come off a bike and hit a tree with your body or head. Body armor will not work. Okay. So when we come around a curve and we actually come into a curve and we say, I know that's going to be a sharp curve. You can put on your brakes, your rear brakes, your pedal brake. They say don't use your front brake. Don't use front brake. Use the rear pedal brake. Put on your brakes on the straightaway, not in the curve. Never put on your brakes in the curve if you can help it. You can lose control doing that. So put on your brakes right before you hit this curve. I put on my brake just a little bit. And I'm pushing my right hand. I'm pushing with my left hand in this curve right here. Now when you're looking at the curves, don't try to look straight down. Look out a little bit. It's a lot easier to maneuver curves looking straight out. So when you're braking, make sure it's straight, like right here. Brake right here before you get into that curve. And when you're going into a curve, oh, that's a nice looking Mustang. Another nice looking Mustang. And another thing too is, like when you go into a curve and you got to shift the gear, then try to, when you got to shift the gear, anytime you shift the gear, press in the clutch and hold it. And try not to let that gear out. Try not to let the clutch out while you're in the curve. Sometimes you may have to, but try not to do that, because sometimes it'll happen that you drop down in a lower gear than you need to be, and that rear tire will lock up on you. So if I'm in a curve like this right here and I let out the clutch, that back wheel locks up, it's going to cause my back end to swerve around. I could wreck. Okay? That's why you want to be careful about doing that. And when you let out the clutch, we're going around this curve right here is fairly sharp. When you let out the clutch, don't let it out quick. Don't let it out like that. Let it out slowly, and you can feel the back wheel as the transmission operates the rear wheel. You can feel whether or not that gear is too low. Because if you start letting it out and it feels like the bike's slowing down too fast, then squeeze the clutch back in. You can, I'm gonna press in the clutch right here, and I can just coast with the clutch in. It doesn't matter. Look at that, like a stair step. It doesn't matter. When I let out the clutch, I let it out slow. So that's one of the beauties of it right there. Let it out slow, not fast. Now, you guys on crotch rockets, y'all a different breed. I know. I love you guys. One of my good friends races sports bikes on a track, and I would never do what he does. I'd get killed. Some of us aren't meant for doing that. Some of us are meant for cruisers and touring bikes, not sports bikes. Like I said, guys on sports bikes, different breed. You know, like I'm doing 50 miles an hour right here in this curve, and I'm pushing with my left hand, swinging out, push with my right hand, pushing. But you're not pushing far, you're pushing easy, very easy. Don't ever push like that. You will wreck. But get a feel for that. That's the way you control your bike, is pushing the handle grip out. Another thing that I want to mention, when you're riding in the mountains and you're not used to it, you got to remember to relax. Work your shoulders up and down, working them forward and backwards. Just kind of rotate them like a 360. Okay? I want to go Robbinsville. Drop down one more gear. But work your shoulders in a 360. Get your shoulders real loose, okay? Make sure your elbows are real loose. And when you're riding your bike, open your hands now and then. Don't squeeze that handle grip tight. Don't get white knuckles. Because if you're going through these curves and you're squeezing the handle grip tight and your shoulders are tight, it transfers some energy into your bike itself, which makes your bike kind of stiff going into these curves. So you want your shoulders loose, your elbow loose, you want your hands loose, just like holding a hammer in your hand. Not much tighter than that, because you're pushing out with the palm of your hand on your handle grips to make your turns. And don't choke up on your handle grips. Don't choke up on your handle grips. Put your hand as far back as comfortable, well, as far back as you can on your handle grip, but make sure you got a good grip on the end of your handle grip. And it's a lot easier to stir the bike because it's like a fulcrum. Okay?